I was 31 years old when I learned how betrayal can wear the mask of professionalism. For 6 years, I gave Harbor Point Communications everything I had. My ideas, my late nights, my weekends, even parts of myself I never got back. I believed in loyalty and building something together. But loyalty can turn into a chain, and sometimes the hands that shackle you belong to the person smiling from across a mahogany desk. I still remember the way Victoria's voice cut through the air that Tuesday morning. Cold, deliberate, the kind of tone that strips you bare before you can defend yourself. "I consider this disloyal," she said, her manicured finger tapping the printed email that betrayed me. I sat there gripping my purse so tightly that the leather squeaked under my palms. She had confirmation, she said. She knew I had interviewed with North Bay Solutions the previous Thursday. I had used a half-day off claiming a dental appointment, and in that moment she wielded it like evidence of treason. My name is Addison Walker, and I had poured 6 years of my life into that company. 6 years of tripling my client portfolio, bringing in millions in revenue, rescuing accounts others let slip away. I thought my work spoke for itself. But to Victoria, none of that mattered. The verdict was already written. She slid my company ID across the desk like a discarded token. My email access had been disabled before I even walked in. "Security will escort you to your desk. You can collect your personal belongings. Your access is revoked immediately." The words pressed down on me like stone, but I didn't give her the tears she expected. I stood, smoothed my blazer, and extended my hand. My voice came out steadier than I felt. "I wish you and Harbor Point continued success." For a split second, I saw something flicker in her eyes. Confusion, maybe even disappointment that I wasn't crumbling. Dignity was the last gift I could give myself as I carried my plants, my framed photos, and 6 years of memory into a cardboard box. Outside, the April sunshine was warm, almost mocking. But I realized something important as I slid the box into my car trunk. Victoria thought she was punishing me. She couldn't have been more wrong. My phone buzzed with the message that would alter the trajectory of everything. "Can we move our final discussion to today? 2 p.m. It was from David Clean, the CEO of North Bay Solutions, the very company Victoria accused me of betraying her for. She didn't know it yet, but firing me was the best mistake she ever made. I drove home in silence, the cardboard box shifting in my trunk, like a reminder of all the times I'd been told next year. I thought of the 3 consecutive years I'd sat in that same office, PowerPoint slides glowing with charts of my achievements, industry, awards lined up like medals, revenue increases in black and white. Each time Victoria would sigh, smile with that faux regret face, and tell me the budget was tight. Each time I swallowed my pride and believed that loyalty was an investment, that my time would come. It never did. Instead, she drove a new luxury SUV while I carried home my worth in a box. That afternoon, as I set the box on my kitchen counter, the weight of it finally hit me. I wasn't just between meetings anymore. I was unemployed. And yet, a strange calm threaded through the fear. Maybe this was freedom disguised as loss. My best friend Olivia called as the news spread like wildfire through the office. She was furious on my behalf, but I could only whisper, "It's unfair." The truth was, it was more than unfair, it was betrayal. Years of loyalty dismissed as disloyalty the moment I dared to seek what I deserved. When David's call came, I felt my heart slam against my ribs. He didn't waste time with pleasantries. "Addison, I just heard what happened. Are you available to come in today? I'd like to accelerate our conversation." His words wrapped around me like a lifeline. For the first time in months, maybe years, I felt seen. I said yes without hesitation. I changed into my best suit, the one I saved for presentations when everything hinged on me. As I brushed on my makeup, I stared at the reflection of a woman who looked battered but not broken. Victoria thought she had ended me, but perhaps she had freed me. Walking into North Bay's glass headquarters later that day felt like stepping into a different world. Where Harbor Point was beige walls and dim lighting, North Bay gleamed with open spaces and mountain views. David greeted me himself, his handshake firm, his eyes warm in a way Victoria's never were. He didn't ask me to defend my loyalty, he didn't accuse, he offered coffee, And then he offered me something I hadn't felt in years: respect. I listened as he explained that Harbor Point had been under scrutiny for months. Delayed responses, declining quality, complacency. The only reason North Bay hadn't left already was me. My work, my commitment, my ability to anticipate what they needed before they asked. And then he said the words that took the breath from my chest. "Addison, this isn't an interview. This is a job offer." He slid the contract across the table, and when my eyes fell on the salary figure, I nearly gasped. It was double what I had begged Victoria for, double what she told me wasn't in the budget. In that moment, the humiliation of the morning transformed into vindication. The ashes of betrayal gave birth to something stronger. I realized then that revenge isn't always loud. Sometimes it looks like walking into the arms of the future while the past collapses under its own weight. David's words hung in the air like a promise I hadn't dared to imagine. A job offer, not just a chance, but validation, recognition, respect. My eyes traced the numbers again and again, almost unable to believe them. Nearly double what I had begged for at Harbor Point. Double what had been impossible for 3 years in a row. I looked up at him, trying to steady my voice. "This is very generous." He shook his head with a calm certainty. "It's not generous, Addison. It's market rate. You've been carrying far more than your share, and you deserve to be compensated for it." Those words nearly undid me. For years, I had internalized the rejections, convincing myself that maybe my timing was wrong, maybe the budget really was tight, maybe I wasn't worth what I thought. But here was a leader, a man who had no stake in protecting my ego, telling me plainly that I had been right all along. I signed the contract that evening after allowing myself the small ritual of reading it over with a glass of wine on my kitchen counter. The cardboard box from Harbor Point still sat there, my desk plants leaning toward the window, and for the first time, I didn't feel lost staring back at me. I felt rebirth. Word of my firing spread quickly. Olivia texted furious on my behalf, saying the office was buzzing with shock. Thomas, the IT specialist, told me Victoria had called an emergency meeting and announced my termination as a warning to others. Harbor Point rewards loyalty above all else. The irony stung like vinegar in an open wound. Jessica, the receptionist, sent me a quieter message. She's been locked in her office making calls all day. She looks worried. Guess someone's afraid of losing North Bay. She was right to be. The next day I received a call I didn't expect. Elaine Winters, a member of the Harbor Point board. Her voice was polished, deliberate. "I understand there was an incident regarding your employment," she said. "I'd like to meet with you tomorrow. Victoria may have been hasty in her decision." For a moment, my heart twisted. 3 years of asking, 3 years of waiting, and now suddenly they wanted to talk. Now suddenly my value mattered. I told her respectfully that I had already accepted another position, but she pressed. "Perhaps we can revisit those conversations. The board values your contribution." I agreed to meet. Not because I intended to return, but because closure had always been denied to me in that office, and I wanted to take it back. When I walked through Harbor Point's doors as a visitor, Jessica's eyes widened. She lowered her voice, whispering, "For what it's worth, everyone's talking about how wrong this was. You were the best of us." Those words carried me into the meeting. Elaine greeted me with the composed warmth of someone used to high stakes. She opened my file and read aloud 6 years of excellent performance reviews, 3 formal raise requests, denied consistent portfolio growth. Then she looked up at me with raised eyebrows. I was not aware of this pattern. I held my hands together to keep them from shaking. "The word Victoria used was disloyal," I said quietly. Elaine closed the folder with a snap. Interesting given the circumstances. Then she leaned forward. "Addison, the board would like to offer you reinstatement with the compensation you requested plus a 10% increase, and the title of Senior Account Director." It should have been everything I wanted. 3 years of waiting, 3 years of begging, 3 years of being told next year. And yet it felt empty. It was too late. "That's a generous offer," I said carefully. "But I've already signed a contract elsewhere." Her eyes flickered. "At North Bay Solutions." I didn't confirm. I didn't deny. I only said my new role begins Monday. For the first time, I saw the truth in her expression. The meeting wasn't about me. It was about the fear of losing North Bay, the client I had carried for years, the one Victoria was now scrambling to keep. Elaine asked one final question, her voice softer this time. What could Harbor Point have done differently to retain you? I paused, letting the weight of the years steady in my chest. Then I said, recognize my value before I had to go looking for it. Loyalty works both ways, Miss Winters. Harbor Point expected unwavering commitment, but demonstrated again and again that I wasn't worth investing in. That imbalance can't last forever. She nodded thoughtful and extended her hand. A fair assessment. Whatever your next steps, I wish you success. As I walked out of that building for the last time, I felt lighter than I had in years. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about reclaiming my story, leaving on my terms with my dignity intact. Monday morning arrived with a nervous excitement thrumming under my skin. My first day at North Bay Solutions. A new title, a new office, a chance to step fully into a life I had been denied for too long. I got there early, the city still rubbing sleep from its eyes, and the building gleamed with the promise of something unspoiled. When I stepped into my office, a real office with a door, not the cramped cubicle I had at Harbor Point, I felt a surge of gratitude. On my desk was a welcome basket, fresh notebooks, and the hum of a computer already set up with my name. I wasn't being tolerated here. I was wanted. At 9, David introduced me to my new team, 5 sharp, talented specialists who looked at me with trust instead of suspicion. He told them, "This is Addison Walker, our new Director of Client Strategy. Many of you already know her work. We're fortunate to have her with us." I stood straighter, my voice steady as I outlined our priorities. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like I had to beg for respect. It was given freely. But the real twist came an hour later. David led me into a conference room where members of the executive team sat waiting. Their expressions were serious but not unfriendly. The CFO spoke first. In light of recent changes, we're reevaluating our relationship with Harbor Point. Their contract is up for renewal next month. My pulse jumped. Harbor Point, the same company that had humiliated me, discarded me, treated me as disposable, was suddenly at my mercy. The CMO added, "We value your perspective, Addison. You know their capabilities better than anyone." In that moment, I held something heavier than revenge in my hands: influence. I could have cut the cord right then, sent Harbor Point into freefall. After all, North Bay represented nearly a third of their revenue. Losing the account would devastate them. Victoria's face flashed in my mind, cold, dismissive, triumphant, and for a heartbeat, I wanted her to know the taste of panic. But then I breathed, steadying myself. No. Revenge wasn't power. Power was choosing professionalism when bitterness begged me to lash out. "We should evaluate Harbor Point on the same criteria as any other partner," I said carefully. "Their work has been strong, but consistency and account management will be critical moving forward." The decision came a week later. An email went out from North Bay to Harbor Point. After careful review, the account would transition to Meridian Creative, effective immediately. I recused myself from the final vote to avoid conflict, but David let me see the message before it went out. I didn't need to orchestrate revenge. Harbor Point's own neglect had done it for me. I imagined Victoria reading it, the realization creeping in. She hadn't just lost me. She had lost North Bay, the crown jewel of her portfolio, and I was the one overseeing the transition. That afternoon, Jessica sent me a private message on LinkedIn. "The office is chaos. 3 account managers updated their resumes today. Karma works fast." I didn't reply, not immediately. There was no need to gloat. Success was speaking for me. Later that night, when the email had already detonated in Harbor Point's inboxes, I sat alone on my balcony with a glass of wine. The city lights glittered, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel weighed down by invisible chains. I felt free. It would have been easy to picture Victoria pacing her office, voice sharp as she scrambled to contain the fallout. Easy to imagine her regret, her anger, the realization that by firing me, she had set off a chain reaction that cost her the company's biggest client. But I didn't need to imagine her suffering to feel whole. The real victory wasn't her downfall, it was mine. My new role demanded everything I had, leading a team, building processes, creating strategies that mattered. And I poured myself into it, not because I needed to prove myself anymore, but because I wanted to. North Bay wasn't a cage, it was a door swung wide open. Every meeting, every brainstorming session, every success reminded me of one truth I had ignored for too long: I was never disposable. A week later, Jessica's LinkedIn message blinked on my screen again. Victoria's in damage control. Morale is collapsing. People are polishing their resumes left and right. It's chaos. She added almost shyly. Karma works fast. I smiled faintly. Karma had worked, yes, but not in the vengeful, fiery way I once craved. It had worked through me finally saying enough, through me walking away, through me choosing to value myself when no one else did. Looking back, I realized that sometimes the best revenge isn't about orchestrating someone else's downfall, it's about refusing to let their dismissal define you. Victoria had fired me, yes, but in doing so, she had unwittingly given me the push I needed to find the life and respect I deserved. If you've ever been told your loyalty is a liability, or your worth is negotiable, or that your time will come next year, listen to me now. Don't wait. Don't shrink. Don't let someone else's blind spot convince you to disappear. The moment you choose yourself, everything changes. So if this story touched you, if you've ever felt undervalued and longed to break free, I hope you carry this lesson with you. And if you want more stories like mine, raw, real, and honest, please like this video, share it with someone who needs courage tonight, and subscribe for more. And don't forget to leave a comment below. Tell me the moment you realized your worth. I promise someone out there needs to read your words.